My brother's roommate stole his Bitcoin stash after his death, so we bled him dry in court. My younger brother passed away nearly 5 years ago from an overdose, which devastated my family at the time. I knew he was into drugs and continually warned him about it, but he assured me he had it under control. I returned home and had the time to sort through some of my brother's things that my parents hadn't looked at yet. Among them was his computer, which I was hoping might have had some photos or other things of interest on it. I managed to salvage a few good pictures and video, though most of it was of him hanging out with his friends at the time. It was still good to have a few extra memories of him from back then. It was while I was going through the installed programs that I noticed he had Bitcoin software installed. I know he used it to buy certain things for himself and his friends online, so it wasn't a surprise to me that he had this. I knew that Bitcoin had gone up in value over the past several years, so part of me hoped he might have had an amount there, but when I ran the Bitcoin program, it said zero balance. I wasn't too surprised at that until I looked at the transaction details. There was regular activity there right up until the week before he passed away, and then nothing after that, until 2 years ago, when the total balance at the time of 147 Bitcoins was transferred out of it. This made no sense to me, unless someone else had a copy of his account or had hacked it from him somehow. But then I checked the history log on the computer, and lo and behold, it had been started up several times on the date the transfer happened. Going back to my parents, I asked them if anyone else had used the computer since they got it back from storage. They remembered that, yes, 2 years ago, my brother's old roommate looked them up and asked if they still had his computer, and he could use it to get a copy of some files to do with their old rental. They had let him use it for a couple of hours, and he left afterwards, and hadn't heard from him since. I looked him up on social media, and from his post history, it seems like he suddenly came into some serious money, judging from the purchases and activities he was involved with at around the same time. So where do I go from here? The evidence strongly points to his having stolen the Bitcoin, but what are my options? Do I confront him directly, and do I have anything to stand on? My parents went through a lot over the years, and it would be good if I could at least give them back something for all their blood, sweat, and tears. And I know it's what my brother would have wanted. Update. I was sent a PM from a fairly notable individual in this, with an offer to help, which I have accepted based on his history and reputation here. On his advice, I will be collecting the computer from my parents' place later today, instead of the weekend, so we can jump on this ASAP, due to this now being out in the open. He is also using his connections to get a free legal opinion from someone qualified in this area. Update 4.5 years later. Through their network of contacts, we received expert technical advice and forensic analysis at absolutely no cost whatsoever, and legal representation that truly understood the issue at hand and was prepared to work on a no-win, no-fee basis. We owe all these people a massive debt of gratitude for what they have been able to achieve for us here, and has finally come to a conclusion in these last few weeks. The analysis of the computer took several weeks before we heard back, but the results were extremely promising. They had identified that while all the Bitcoins had indeed been transferred to another wallet, not all the Bitcoins in this wallet had been spent. There was still approximately 36 Bitcoins remaining in there that had not been touched. Of what had been spent, there were significant trails of evidence which was used as the starting point of commencing legal action against the individual in question. It has taken time, and much of it is under non-disclosure, but what I can confirm is that an agreement was made to withdraw our case against him in return for transferring this remaining balance back to my brother's estate. Yesterday, our lawyer let us know that this has now been done. They are handling the technical aspects of this for us, but the upshot is that the cash equivalent of nearly 29 Bitcoins, 1.5 million, will shortly be transferred to my parents. This couldn't have come at a better or more needed time. Their business was up against the wall, and they potentially stood to lose everything unless things turned around. So this cash infusion has taken away all that fear and stress they were living under. This entire saga began with the premature death of my brother. It now concludes with him leaving behind a legacy of hope and optimism for our parents. Somewhere, up there, I know he is smiling and cheering them on.